Wellness is the new beauty. I mean, we all are obsessed with matchas, Pilates, infrared saunas, and endless supplements. Honestly, guilty. And I feel like it's been taking over the beauty industry, right? So today I am joined by a fellow founder that I absolutely admire, Elizabeth. She's the founder of Gunam Beauty. And she's one of the very first in India who seamlessly combined wellness and beauty, bringing French skin expertise together with some incredible Indian botanicals. Meet Elizabeth. I'm so happy. I'm so excited that you flew here,
Yes.
especially, from Kerala.
No, of course. I feel
It's
like this has
amazing.
been a long time coming. I
Yes.
think we've been talking about it for so long, and I'm happy I get to do this on a December morning with you.
So, what do you feel about what I have just said? That wellness has become the new beauty.
Yeah.
Like, I personally have noticed that consumers shift towards how they address their beauty has changed.
Sure.
They feel that beauty actually comes from within.
Yeah.
And now they invest more into supplements and wellness products rather than skincare.
Sure.
Have you noticed that shift within your consumers?
Sure. Absolutely. And I think as a brand, we've always talked about addressing beauty holistically. So looking at inside, outside, your mind, your gut, all of it, right? So I think it's only natural, it's only logical that people approach it, both ways because, there's only so much you can address by just doing things topically. So I think the movement is good, and I think it's more realistic, more practical, and I think in the long run, you definitely need both. So
Yes.
I think it's in the right direction.
Definitely, definitely. I have noticed that shift. I think around COVID time, something happened that we all became more conscious about what we put in our body and what we put on our skin.
Right.
So I think around that time, the clean beauty movement happened.
Yeah.
People started questioning what is on the label, because they started being more aware of the effects that parabens, silicones, and sulfates have. So I think this is where it sort of started.
Yeah.
But I feel slowly the clean beauty movement has moved into holistic beauty.
Yeah.
Because now every brand is a clean beauty brand.
Yeah.
In a way, right?
Not really, though.
Not really, exactly. But everybody claims that they don't have these sort of toxins,
Sure,
etc.,
sure.
etc.
Yeah, yeah.
So almost every brand,
chemicals.
no chemicals. Every brand is vegan
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Sure, yeah.
But so that movement that happened in 2020 slowly going into wellness now.
Yeah.
So people want skincare that is not just clean, but also effective.
Yes.
And also addresses their health in a way. So you would see a lot of skincare also with probiotics or with ingredients that help support, their skin's health.
Correct.
And
Yes,
at the same time, I feel a lot of people started believing that, hey, instead of just, investing money into skincare, I might as well address it from within.
Yes.
So collagen supplements are on the rise, right? And there's so many things in that way. And I think even your products, your products like Spirulina or Golden Glow Blend, they are your best sellers, right? So I think that totally, it just proves that now we finally see that beauty comes from within.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely. And I think even we've been looking at how do we kind of help people address from the inside out. So I think these products are also just a natural transition to helping people. And we're not really talking about short-term fixes here, right? We're talking about things like antioxidants that really work over time. So even just inflammation, right? Like low grade daily, like just inflammation builds up. So how do you tackle it at the ground level, So and it's also about like just your daily practices and all of those things. And honestly, as a founder, I'm very guilty of, like how it is running a business, like it just takes over
Stressful.
your life sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I think the first 2 years of running my business, I think I just got so overwhelmed and I was just in a rut, like trying to fix things. You're constantly troubleshooting, solving problems, and it accumulates, right? And obviously the last thing you want as a beauty wellness brand founder is to look fatigued and tired and have bad skin. And also I've come to terms with the fact that my skin is, is prone to problems. I don't like saying problematic skin anymore, because I feel like then I'm classifying my skin as something. But I've come to terms with the fact that my body is a certain way, and then I just have to treat it with care, right? So it's just about being
To
more
interrupt
gentle.
you, your skin is absolutely stunning. But
That's also my
definitely,
makeup. Yeah.
Nevertheless,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel that's so true. A part of, self-improvement
Yeah.
is accepting where you're at.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
fighting it, because a lot of people address it from the point of, I'm going to fix it. I'm
Yeah.
going to fix my skin. I'm going to fix my body.
Yeah.
They feel that there's something so wrong with them right
Sure,
now that they
sure.
need to fix.
Yeah, and they want it like
Yeah,
now.
and that's
you know?
like the wrong kind of intention and attitude to have, because that's sort of hate towards yourself, you
Yeah,
know.
sure.
So then the things that you'll be doing to yourself will be not that actually kind and not that effective.
Sure.
So
Been
you
there,
would think
done
that
that.
you're doing so much, why
Yeah.
can't I, like finally fix my acne, fix my skin, or why can't finally lose weight?
Yeah,
But what you're not actually doing is just being kind to yourself and accepting where you're at.
Right.
Once you sort of start seeing yourself, hey, this is where I am, and this is what I'm dealing with. But I do love myself, and I want to give the best to my the best kind of food for myself, the best kind of care that I can give. And when you start addressing these things with love, I think this is when beautiful changes happen.
Sure, no, absolutely, yeah. Learned it the hard way, but
same.
Yeah. I don't believe it. I feel like you just look perfect all the time, but
you're too kind.
Yeah.
I also
mean it, but
I also had my journey, of course, with having kids and lots of like stress with work, like you've mentioned. Being the founder, it can take a toll, and stress shows on your skin immediately. At least on my skin, it shows immediately. And even though like these wellness routines that I see online, they're absolutely in theory they look really good. They look fascinating. They look exciting. You've seen these, I'm sure you've seen these reels where a girl wakes up at 5 a.m. and she goes for a jog, then she grabs her matcha, and then she goes for Pilates, and then she does her little 2-hour work, and then she meets with her girlfriends and something like that. So this is like that ideal life. And then you finish it with the yoga session and candlelight, I don't know, sound healing, something like that. In theory, it looks great, but in life, I think it's also all about balance.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So this is something that we all gotta learn, even in this, hectic life.
Of course.
But yes, please carry on. You were talking also about the inflammation and the skin gut axis, which I think your brand addresses so beautifully. So tell me, how do you think inflammation shows on your skin in a way that maybe we don't even think of, you know? Like, how does it work?
Right. So I think, poor sleep, chronic stress, pollution, just the quality of our food, right? All of these things really add up, and in a bad way, right? So it accumulates, and like I said, it's sometimes just low-grade inflammation that builds up over time, and it's impacting then your gut, your microbiome, your nervous system is dysregulated. It's all of these things, right? So I feel like there were times when I thought I was eating clean, being active, doing the best skincare, but still like my skin would just look tired and dull. And even like I would break out severely sometimes as well. And then you're in a constant cycle of trying to figure out like what's happening, right? You're doing everything right. And like you said, and then you go hard on yourself. So it took me a while to realize that it's sometimes in the simple things, and like really regulating your nervous system as well, right? Because you're constantly, if you're in fight or flight, it shows up. And, I know now, like when thankfully not anymore, but sometimes if I'm not having a proper routine and I wake up at like 3 a.m., I check my phone and I know and I know like my cortisol levels are high, right? So your body is, for the most part, trying to talk to you. Just got to listen. And I feel like when you're younger, I can say this now that I'm 30.
Same. We are born on the same day.
Yeah,
isn't
that so cool? But I think we just have to listen. So that even when people come to me today just for like basic advice, I'm always like, listen to your body, listen to your skin. And it's the easiest thing to do, right? So just observe those little changes. I think with inflammation, it's about also then tackling it slowly, because it takes a while to accumulate, of course, but you don't want to try to like shock your body. Whilst, of course, I think there's certain protocols which you should do under like medical supervision. I think the best and honestly long-term practical solution is to take it also slowly, right? And to kind of do all of the things. And like you said, the ideal like
Wellness
whatever
routine.
wellness routine, it's not practical, right? So
it's
even as a brand, when we do content, we're like, we don't want to necessarily portray like an unrealistic lifestyle or whatever, right? So we talk about how do we then incorporate these things into your day to day. So all of our products are to be added in. It's not meant to be replaced. So we talk about supplementing your everyday, right? It's not replacing something, or it's not like a fix, right?
I love your honesty and transparency because I think if I were to interview any other founder and I would have just talked a little bit about inflammation, they would have straight went into saying something, like if you want to address your inflammation, you should have turmeric and you should have this and you should have that, and that's what really helps.
Sure.
And you're like, wait, just take a breath. Address your mental health. Actually, when was the last time you slept properly?
Exactly.
Are you overthinking? Are you dealing with anxiety? These are the things that actually causing, your cortisol spikes.
Yes, exactly.
There's lack of sleep and stress and all of these things. So this is something that we should address first, because if you don't address the root cause, I think no matter how many supplements you're taking, of course they'll help, in a way. But if you're not addressing the root cause, you're not going very, skin deep.
Sure. No, exactly. And I think I've lived through it, right? So I know the struggles. Like there's also, I think, phases where I've been like, okay, the more supplements I add, the more, and then it's just also ruining your gut, right? Because there's only so much your body can digest. The rest is just, the body just, throws it out. And sometimes an excess of these things can take a toll on like your
liver.
Your liver, exactly, can only process so much, and then you take liver supplements, right? It's a whole cycle. So I've been there, so I really don't want to create like false expectations or unrealistic expectations, because I think when you're struggling with something, like it's a tough place to be in, right? Until you get out. And I know it's a slow process. So I just want to always, our goal as a brand is to always be as transparent and realistic. And sometimes I feel like we need to maybe sell more, like, push harder. But I think within our means, like within what we feel is kind of appropriate is what we're doing now. So, but thank you. I appreciate you seeing what we're trying to do. And I think a lot of people also see through, like excessive marketing and false claims and things like that. So I hope more brands kind of will, be more transparent and honest in their communication as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Cheers to that.
Thank you.
By the way, here we are having our matcha that is with spirulina. This is the first time I'm actually trying the spirulina.
Oh, right.
It's really good, right?
It's really nice, actually. Yeah.
I also felt that this spirulina adds a bit of sweetness, but I think it's that natural sweetness is there. It's really yum. So what is spirulina actually for?
Okay, so technically, spirulina is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, right? So it's one of the oldest life forms even. So people call it a blue-green algae, but what it actually is a cyanobacteria. So it's grown in these ponds. We've done actually a really cool video on it where we grow it in Tamil Nadu. Because people would be like, what's the color? Like, why is
I would never have thought that spirulina can come from, like, I thought it probably comes in somewhere from abroad. It sounds like a very, I never thought that you can make it also in India.
Yeah. So, I mean, all you need is water and sunlight. That's the magic of the cyanobacteria, right? But it's very important that you grow it well, because it needs to be in a pollution-free environment. So where we grow it is actually very remote. So we work with another company that's been doing this for like over 3 decades. But we do the extraction. So my family's business, we do the extraction from the cyanobacteria, which is like technically like it's green in color. We extract the phycocyanin, which is the blue spirulina. So
it's a gorgeous blue color. I open it. Oh my God, this is so beautiful, like a beautiful indigo color. When you mix it, with water or with like oat milk or anything that you want to mix it, just the color is so pretty.
Yeah. So, and I feel like a lot of we eat with our eyes too, right? So I feel like something simple like this kind of just
adds a little.
Yeah, exactly. So do you absolutely need, I mean, green spirulina itself, I tell people, is great in itself. The blue, because it's further isolated, it doesn't have that strong fishy smell. So I feel like it's easier to incorporate into like your food and drink, because the moment you add something and it doesn't taste good, you're not going to have it the next day. I think there's very few people who will, put themselves through it. I for example will do like a lot of these things even if it doesn't taste good, but I know majority of people aren't like that. So I feel this is something that doesn't really impact the taste of your food. We just recommend not heating it too much because it does kill some of the goodness from it. So it's primarily an antioxidant, right? And then it's rich in B vitamins. It's rich in iron, manganese. There's a lot of magnesium. It's just really like a
Packed with nutrients.
packed with nutrients, exactly. So a little bit goes a long way. And you're right, like a lot of people, in fact, it wasn't a product that we intended to launch. I was using the spirulina from the business. So I would just occasionally, when I do just stories and things like that, my food would be blue and people are like, oh, where is it? And I had friends who went to school with me in the US and stuff. They'd be like, oh, like what brand are you using? There'd be like a brand from the US that they'd buy and things like that. So I was just like, oh, there is an actual gap in the market. And there was only, I think, one other brand that was there, but I think the formula has like a good amount of like maltodextrin, and for me that defeats the purpose, right? If the filler or whatever is like not clean, then I think you're doing more harm than good, maybe, right? So that's more just for the food color aspect, whereas this is actually something that is so nutrient dense, like a true superfood, right? So so it was just more of an organic extension for us. But yeah, now it's doing exceptionally well. So I'm really happy. And I think just when people also learn where it comes from and what it does for you over the long run, I think that's where the magic is. Yeah.
I mean, when the product is this good, of course. And I think whenever I was searching, before I even met you, I was searching for Spirulina a few times. And your brand is the very first one that pops up, of course.
All right.
And I honestly hope that this product goes also worldwide, because I think there's a lot of scope for a good product.
Yeah.
With product like that. So spirulina is really good basically for your skin, right? And for your gut.
Yeah. So I feel it basically also helps detoxify the body really well.
Okay.
So it helps fight free radicals. So a lot of studies have been done over time, and it really works at a cellular level. And, like I said, that's where the magic is. So I don't really sell it as a skin supplement. I feel like, at the end of the day, when you're doing well inside, it shows on the outside. So I feel like that's the approach with the spirulina as well. So yeah, we talk about adding a little bit to your everyday and kind of letting it do its thing, So if it helps even with things like muscle recovery. So even for people who are athletic, for example, like my dad is super into fitness. So he finds that like he's maybe less sore, so a lot of those things, which again, I think for people who are more tuned to their bodies, listen more to their bodies, I think you can feel the difference more instantly maybe. But yeah, I think it does a whole lot. So that's why we call it like a complete superfood.
It's a superfood.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. I can't wait to, honestly. I'm so excited now because I already see myself having my breakfast with that.
Yeah,
and everything.
sure.
It's really nice.
And besides, it's just like you said, it's a beautiful color. I mean, obviously the matcha and the blue
it
turned it
mixed
into but it's nice. Like we work with some cafes and like wellness centers and stuff, so it's really pretty too. And I think it's a nice Instagrammable moment for sure. So it's nice.
I think I'm gonna add it to. I go to one Pilates studio that I really like. Okay. I think we're gonna add it to the bar.
Perfect.
With the matcha. I think it would be really nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And so tell me, Elizabeth, how did you start Gunam Beauty? What moved you? What was that first moment when you felt like, okay, I really want to launch my own skincare brand?
Got it. So I think it's a lot of things. Growing up, I always thought my dream was to work in like a big company. Never really thought of starting my own business. Though I grew up around my family's business. So just quickly, like they're in the plant and spice extraction business. So they've been doing that for about 5 decades now. So I've grew up around that. So again, visited a lot of factories, learned a lot about ingredients, farming, extraction, really looking at the whole life cycle of something that goes from, like farm to table, right? So, and it just became instinctual for me to take a product and flip it around and look at what's in it, where is it made, all of those type of things, right? So that was my childhood. But then, like I said, I grew up with acne. So I think, I don't want to say the day I turned 13, but it was around there that it just, started popping up. And I think now dermatology practices have evolved so much. But back then, even 15 years ago, I feel like it was a bit more rigid. They were just looking at topical, right? So I was on extremely drying, like face wash and ointments, and nobody was telling me about caring for my skin or like trying to heal it.
Tell about drying the skin.
Drying, yeah. So I had peeling, like even aching skin, right? Because it was not a pretty sight.
Yeah.
And to top it off, I think sunscreen now everyone talks about so much, but back in the day we didn't even have good sunscreen, right?
Imagine all this chemical exfoliation,
exactly.
and everything,
and I'm in the
there's no
sun,
sunscreen.
playing whatever, tennis and all of that. So if you look at my photos from school, like it's not a pleasant sight, So and I think for the most part, Indians are prone to pigmentation, right? So for me, it started showing up from a very early age. And I think all of that kind of causes long-term damage too, right? So eventually, so it took me a while. I like to say that I've tried everything under the sun. For the most part, I have. So, I've tried oral antibiotics for a long time. It caused some serious side effects. So I had like fluid buildup in my brain, and as a result of being on antibiotics for a long time. Again, I tell people, like, my intention is to not scare people,
Educate them.
to educate, because what I experienced was actually like a 1 in a million reaction. So I had to go to a neuro-ophthalmologist to figure out what happened. And, so it was just a lot of dealing with issues like this that, were really scary, right? So I was on spironolactone, which is, again, used to treat acne. And then the gold standard, which is isotretinoin, right? So all of these things, also isotretinoin, for example, it works really well for some people. For a lot of people, I was just unlucky, I think. I really wanted these things to work for me, but it made me really achy. And I think I was also like mildly depressed, and I didn't realize. And I think the studies are still here and there about whether these things cause.
It's a very serious medication to take, especially
yes.
like even for women who are planning to have children.
Yes.
I think they also warn you that if you're taking isotretinoin, you're not supposed to be having children in the next 1 year.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when you stop, let's say, but you have a baby next 1 year, there are chances that the baby will have some sort of birth defects.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So like you said, it's very serious, but I think people don't understand the seriousness of it. Also, I think largely because the doctors aren't not always telling you the full extent of it, right? So they might be like, okay, you got to stop for a few months before you plan on getting pregnant, all of that. But also, like, you have to be doing your blood work every month. So in the US, where if they prescribe isotretinoin, you don't get your refill unless you get your blood work done and make sure, because again, your internal organs, they're processing all of these things, right? So they want to make sure all of your other biomarkers are okay before you continue the medication. So it has to be done under supervision. You can't just go like, here we do, and just buy it off the counter, right? So I think the more information, I think it's also just about questioning what's been given to you. And I think for the most part, again, like I said, dermatology has evolved a long way. I think there's really exceptional doctors too. But unfortunately, a lot of them who don't really take it as seriously, or don't educate their customers or whatever, right? So I think it takes their patience. Sorry. So I think that bit is really, really important. But yeah, going back to my journey. So again, I realized that I was just looking at it topically, not really addressing stress, even as a kid, right? In your school, your college, all of
so
that.
much, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of emotions, things that you don't deal with, right? So it's that, plus obviously like food, movement, all of these things that really I realized was making the difference, and really helped kind of get my skin under control. So yeah, that's how I got interested in skincare. And after college, I knew I wanted to work in the beauty industry. So I started in the food industry because, again, that's what I knew. Started in fashion, actually, in college. knew that wasn't for me. It was too much for me. And then moved on to the food industry, and then eventually ended up in working in the skincare industry. So I was working for a cosmetics ingredient supplier in Paris, and again, learned a lot about regulation, again, formulation. And that's where I really understood how exceptional French formulation is and how strict European standards are, So I knew if I was building something, it had to be from that premise. So it had to start from there. So unfortunately, COVID happened. And at that time, I was also trying to figure out what's next and stuff. So my husband and I were living in Paris. We knew we didn't want to be stuck in a tiny apartment for, again, there was no end in sight, right? We didn't realize how long it was going to go on. So we decided eventually that we were going to move back to India. So I started working on the products whilst I was still in France. So started working with a French formulator and manufacturer, and then eventually moved back, but then figured we could still import the products. So that's how the idea for Gunam came about and how the products came to life. So it took us about a year and a half to actually get the products ready, because I was here in India. I could visit occasionally only, and then, a lot of samples. So it was a lot of back and forth, but it was all worth it for sure.
Amazing. It's highly appreciated by a lot of people here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks,
But you just spoke about, the regulations in cosmetics industry.
Yeah.
What are the difference between EU regulations and in India regulations?
I mean, obviously a lot, right? I don't think, firstly, I don't think I know the full extent of it, but a simple example for one of our products, we call it the multi-correctional face oil. So in order to even call it the multi-correctional face oil, we had to do clinical tests in order to prove that it has multi-correctional benefits. So then when we did the clinicals, we saw that it was helping with pigmentation, with fine lines, with, like sun damage, all of those things. Because you got to back it up. Like you can't just say radiance and like not have a test to kind of back it up, right? So just something so simple, you can kind of get away with here. And I think Indian regulation is catching up, but there's still a long way to go. And I think we spoke about the whole clean movement, right? And what is clean really? There's no like gold standard. There's no clear definition.
Regulations.
Yeah.
Even with ingredients list, you can get away with not
Exactly.
listing
I mean, yeah,
everything.
you know how it is. Like,
I don't know
how
if
has it been for you?
Yeah, so I've been studying the subject of clean beauty for 5 years.
Okay,
I think
alright.
also again around the COVID time, I've started Beauty Story.
Yes, of
where I
course,
was curating clean beauty products.
Yeah.
So at that time, I even like I said, like everybody else, I got conscious about what am I putting on my skin, and also as a mother, I got even more conscious. What are my children using, So I started studying the ingredients, the labels, the brands, and we had some amazing Korean skincare brands on Beauty Story, like Cosrx, Claire's, One Thing. What I loved about them is that not just that they're effective, but they're also very transparent, the ingredient list and how clean their formulations are. That is something that I really liked. And besides their cult favorite, products. So there was,
there's a reason. There's
a reason. I was really into K-beauty and it really helped with my, with my skin problems as well. I also dealt with acne.
I don't believe it.
No, I've dealt with adult acne. I didn't have it as a teenager, but
interesting.
I had it as an adult. And I think it started flaring up ever since I moved to Mumbai.
Okay.
I think it got a lot to do with the climate, pollution, humidity, stress. Stress levels also crazy, and so I dealt with that. And I think, like you have mentioned, addressing your mental health is really important. Practicing yoga for me also really helped because I was like, calm mind. It also shows on your skin, of course, addressing your diet is also very important because I love Indian food. I really, really, really love Indian food. the spicier, the oilier, the better, for me. But at some point, I was like, okay, Nelly, this is not what you're used to eating since you were a child.
Yeah.
Maybe my system is just not built for
Yeah,
that,
sure.
And
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, regardless, I think it's just not the healthiest thing that you can have. I mean, Indian cuisine has a lot of healthy options, of
Yeah,
course.
we
I'm not
do,
saying
really
that
do.
it's like some unhealthy
No.
cuisine at all.
Yeah,
But what
yeah.
I was eating that heavy Punjabi food on a
Yeah.
daily basis, I was like, okay, maybe I'm just not cut out for that. So I had to watch my diet,
Okay.
basically, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah, coming back to clean beauty.
Yeah.
So that's when I founded Beauty Story,
Yes.
and we were curating clean beauty brands. That's where I have discovered how easy it is for brands to say that they're clean. How easy it actually is.
Yeah.
Like I can give you so many examples. Even if I don't know if you know the brand Biotic. It's a very popular Indian mass market beauty brand.
yeah.
Have you ever read ingredients on the back?
No.
It's literally they
I
just
don't want to
write
try.
3-4 ingredients there,
Where's the rest of it?
and they're only like natural ingredients. So like if it's a face wash, they first write neem and something else. But of course, it takes a lot more to make a face wash.
Yes.
So it was very obvious to me that like you can't trust brands like that.
Sure.
But even if you're talking about some new age brands, a lot of them are good. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm not trashing the entire
no,
Indian
of course, there's
beauty
so
market.
many
A lot of
exceptional
them
brands,
are
yeah.
really good. I think people are becoming more conscious on what are they creating, and they want to put something good into this world,
Yeah.
But also a lot of them understand that how consumers think.
Yeah.
For example, if you call your brand vegan and you make it actually vegan,
Yeah.
Automatically, subconsciously, people think that your brand is clean and natural.
Yeah.
Because they think vegan, it's something green,
Right.
But vegan, the only thing vegan
not,
actually means is that there are no animal-derived ingredients.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
So, for example, instead of, beeswax or honey extract, you would just add some paraffin.
Yeah.
And paraffin, guys, is so much cheaper than beeswax. And it's not necessarily better for your skin.
Sure.
So a lot of examples. This is just like a very basic example.
Yeah.
But this is how people's minds work. They think, oh, it's vegan. Then it means it's natural. Means it's clean.
Sure.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Only means that there are no animal-derived ingredients.
Sure. Yeah.
So there are just like these few little, sort of loopholes in this whole thing. How brands can address it, saying that,
Right. Yeah.
And also like what I've learned is that you can call your products 100% natural if you have one ingredient in that is 100% natural.
Okay. Yeah. That would not work in
First
the
of all,
EU
to
or
make
US.
a 100% natural product, it's exceptionally hard,
Yes, it is,
realistically.
yeah. For
Okay,
it to be
it's
shelf
probably
stable.
maybe it's just an oil.
Correct. Yeah.
It's probably just like I can imagine 100% natural cold pressed oil that's possible. But if you're making a cream, a face wash, of course there will be certain chemicals that are safe for skin, let's say. But you
it
can't
should
call
be
it
in there.
should be there.
Yeah,
It should be in there.
yes,
But it's not a 100% natural product. So whenever I see a brand that says that we are 100% natural, I try to stay away, honestly.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I don't want to see that you're 100% natural because I know that's practically not possible for your product to have a shelf life of 3 years, not to have any preservatives in that.
Yeah.
Let's just be, honest here.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think now less claims, more transparency is something that we want as consumers.
Yeah.
And it's something that your brand does beautifully, I think. And also addressing the regulations, how different they're here versus US or EU, Here to market your product, you can say a lot of things. You can say that your product, helps with, not just helps, cures hair fall. Cures hair fall. It really helps with hair growth. Or you can say that, it reduces pigmentation or eliminates dark spots. That's something. They're big claims,
Sure.
So, but legally abroad, especially in US and EU, I think you're not allowed to say these things.
Correct.
You have to say it may help support, your skin barrier.
Yes,
it
exactly.
may help with your pigmentation.
Correct.
Which is the correct way of doing that.
Yes, unless you have the clinicals, of course. But for the most part, it is. You don't want to make these medical claims.
You want to make
right?
these medical claims exactly without these clinical tests.
Yeah.
And also, I think what it does, it sometimes messes with your expectations as a customer.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, we all have different budgets. Okay.
Yeah.
So people who are dealing with certain insecurities and who really want to address that, and let's say somebody's really tackling, I don't know, acne or pigmentation, and they see a serum like that is maybe at a certain budget, but that serum claims that it will eliminate your dark spots or your dark circles or whatever that is. Okay, and then you see a different serum, like let's say it's yours, that only gives honest, claims what it actually does. So they'll look at, oh, this one, actually helps me to eliminate my dark spot, and this one may, helps, and support my skin barrier, let's say.
Correct.
So they get all it's very misleading. And of course, okay, you try that serum that is supposed to eliminate, your pigmentation or whatever, and then it doesn't work. Now, how frustrating it is. So then you're going to start buying more and more products. And here we have a lot of good and bad mass market skincare products, but a lot of actives. Actives are very popular, which I think people shouldn't be just playing around with. We all know like your AHA, BHA, niacinamide, retinol. So people get, like, okay, let's say I'm tackling my acne. I want to use everything, because this will help and that will help. And they've seen some influencer using that, and they've seen another influencer using that. So they're taking all these products and putting it on their face, and it results only in more inflammation, more flare-ups, more acne, more pigmentation, basically. And that creates more stress.
Long-term.
And then you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, like I'm not looking good, and that creates even more inflammation. So I think this is where the damage is. The misleading claims. The influencer claims also, I would say, I think we should be more careful with what we say on camera.
No, absolutely.
I think we should be more careful because
it's
people are watching. People are watching.
And influenced, very, very easily. So, you're absolutely right. And I think as a brand, I don't know if you've experienced this as well, the whole landscape when you work with even content creators, like, we always go and look for creators who, again, we know will actually test the product, use it for some time, and then,
That's very rare because most offers that I get is that you receive product, I want a video tomorrow. Not today. I want the video today.
Sure. I mean, it's hard. I think it's very easy to give in to that. But as a brand, we're really, really, we emphasize on the importance of someone trying and testing. That's why probably also you won't see a lot of content creator content for us out there. We only recently even started doing like a lot of like paid campaigns and things like that. It's only when like I think
I've
they've
seen
really
a lot
tried
of organic reels. I've seen a lot of influencers and content creators that are showing a bunch of products that they really like, and they usually include your brand in that, which is absolutely really it's really nice to see
it's really special. But the point there is though that the customer is just now assuming that everything is paid for, right? So I can't go out there and scream that, hey, this was organic or this, so it's a catch-22 where I feel like whilst there's content creators doing like really exceptional work too, it kind of just gets lost. So people are also unable to tell like what's paid, and there's not full disclosure, unfortunately, for the most part. So, I feel like people often think that, even say like our first feature was like in vogue, and really grateful to the beauty editor at the time who like spotted our products and tried it and liked it and featured us, and I had people asking us like how much we paid for it, so I was just like, I wish I could have afforded that at that time, but it is what it is. I've just realized, I mean, people are also, if you don't really understand the industry, and things, it can work many ways. So I can only at the end of the day try to put good product out there and be transparent. I can't try to correct everyone or try to, scream on top of my voice. It's not going to help the cause. So I'm just hoping that it's the slow journey of like building the brand the right way or sustainably, works out, I guess.
So whatever you're doing, it's working beautifully. And also, again, I think about influencers and the UGC content. I personally started feeling that whenever I pick up my phone these days and I just scroll through the reels, and I can see that somebody is doing it, with the hooks and the script. 1 second, I just scroll.
Yes,
and I think it's not only me. I think these
yeah.
days people, like you rightfully said, that how do you convince your customer
Yeah.
this is actually a genuine,
Yeah.
review or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? How do
Yeah.
you convert that into clicks?
Yes.
Let's say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some kind of trust building, right?
Sure.
So I feel like we need to, as a founder, also myself, I started implementing new strategy, right, where you do send the products,
Yeah.
right, but you also give them in a way directions that, okay, I'm not going to send you the script.
Yeah.
I'm not going
We
to tell
don't
you
do
what
that
to
either.
say.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
please take your time and
Yes.
do it in your, beautiful creative manner.
Yeah.
Right. I think that hopefully is something that I hope more brands implement.
Yeah.
So we'd stop seeing all these scripted videos that
Yeah.
everybody's sick and tired
creators
of.
don't like it either, right? To be told what to
Yeah.
say. And I'm even surprised, like, because I think initially when we started working with creators, and they were like, send us a script. And I'm like, that's not how we work. And then you also realize when you let them do their thing, they're a lot better as well. It's more natural, like, and customers, like, for the most part, you can tell now what's, like you said, right, scripted. But there's a strong hook. I mean, whilst of course those things work, it has to be, I think, done well. And I think the truth at the end of the day, I think, stands out or wins, right? So yeah, it's quite scary for me the way the industry works, and I hope again there's stricter regulation and things like that, maybe, so that, because the average person is not really able to tell the difference. So scary place.
That's true. So yeah, so I think transparency and honesty about your product, what are the ingredients, is one thing.
Yeah.
Second is the claims,
Yeah.
misleading claims can
Sure.
make person really believe
Yes.
into, applying a bunch of products
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't.
Sure.
And with skincare also, I would suggest that if people have, certain skin conditions, it's always good to talk to specialists.
Yes,
first,
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
But at the same time, I wouldn't say even go blindly with,
Yeah.
their advice.
Yeah.
You should also see how is your skin reacting, and you just listen to your skin. Like, again, someone who dealt with acne, okay, I was also prescribed a lot of drying sort of lotions and treatments, etc., etc. But what really helped me was also building my skin barrier.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of
100%.
good skin barrier products. I've tried a lot of Korean brands. They really emphasize on that. And even your cream, the balance cream, right?
Yeah.
I love the name, for that, because
Thank you.
I think it's important for us to make sure that we not just treat a certain problem that we think we have, but we also balance it.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit more about this product and how you came up with that.
Got it. So the balance face cream is currently being also reformulated. We're trying to
I'm
make
waiting
it
for that. I was checking the website. Where is it coming back?
soon. It's all done. We're in the manufacturing stage. So again, with how it is, delays and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're hoping sooner than later. But we've tried to make the formula even better now, make it even more barrier supporting. So that was the goal. So essentially, it was squalane, a blend of plant butters and adaptogens, right? And then ingredients also like urea, which aren't really commonly found in your over-the-counter skincare. But a lot of these ingredients, even like panthenol, they're real, like, they work really hard on your skin, and it's not really like flashy ingredients, right? It's not cool sounding, but they're really like they take on the heavy work. So for me, with the balance face cream, again, it wasn't really to address one specific thing, but it was to kind of help balance your sebum. It was, again, finding that balance between the adaptogens and really like nourishing ingredients. Because I was like, this should be a cream that anyone can use. And, that was the goal. And I think we kind of did a good job with that, except the adaptogens had, also a strong smell, which we found that people either loved or hated. Now I can say it. I mean, it was a hard reality for me to accept, but a lot of people really didn't like the smell, and a lot of people do. So now we have people.
And your cream is fragrance free, right?
Correct. Technically, we don't add anything for the purpose of fragrance. So, the ashwagandha, the neem, all of those things really had a strong smell, and we added like a jasmine as well, which would kind of cut through. So that's changing now, but we've made it better, hopefully. So, again, the goal was for it to work over time, to kind of help with just overall hydration and just barrier repair. And yeah, so hopefully with the new addition of ingredients and stuff like that, it'll work even better. So again, just I think finding that balance between, again, sometimes you just want to overload it with actives too and not necessarily required, right? So with K Beauty, for example, a lot of products, I love niacinamide, but I think sometimes every product,
Yeah,
right, from your
niacinamide
toner
has-
to your cream to your serum, it can, and you can kind
And
of overdo
hyaluronic
it.
acid is just everywhere.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. But so a lot of these things can kind of add up, right, in your routine. So, and can end up causing more harm. So I think it's just about also, and I think less is more largely. So I think
What
yeah.
is your skincare routine, by the
My
way?
skincare routine right now, I'm in the process of also testing like the new products. So we're working on like a pigmentation serum that's again for me like my biggest enemy, because the moment I get like one like acne spot, my pigmentation will take weeks to go, and I think maybe a lot of people can relate. So it's like a constant cycle of like not having clear skin. But hopefully this is, again, I think the hero is a derivative of azelaic acid. So again, it's very good for Indian skin.
love
It's gentle,
azelaic acid.
right? I think it's like, I think now it's getting popular again, but I think it's really like a
I think
hero.
it works so much better than vitamin C, according to me.
No, true. Yeah. Vitamin C, like it breaks me out, so I cannot use it. It makes a lot of people sensitive. So azelaic acid, I think, is like an unsung hero, and that's going to be the star of our new formulation. So that's there, and then the face cream reformulation is also something that I'm using currently. There's a lot of again, not vegan, but there's the salmon PDRN. I think there's this brand called Hev Blue, I want to say. It's a K Beauty brand. I went to Korea a couple of months ago and then discovered it while I was there, and I really like it. They have like a calming toner which works, I think, really well. So even if I go to the gym and come back, I use like a hypochlorous acid spray to kind of just calm my skin, and then I go in with a gentle toner and these products. And the exfoliant is something that I use, but sparingly as well, because I find that if I'm traveling or if I'm not sweating a lot, it's okay. I can use it more. But if my skin is constantly, if I'm sweating a lot and it's irritated and it's hot and humid, I don't use an exfoliant every day either. So, I really, but there's a lot of people who use it every day.
And it's a daily exfoliant,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Gunam Beauty Daily Exfoliant. It's an
Correct,
award-winning product.
Yes.
So tell me a bit more about this product, because I know it's supposed to be, it's a gentle exfoliator, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's quite effective.
Sure. Correct. Yeah. So my inspiration, and I've said this before as well, was largely the lotion P50, which is like a holy grail product from Biologique Recherche, right? So it's globally, I mean, though from France, from Paris, like it's a product that's really known worldwide. And I think it's, again, I think P50 is also like, they talk about it taking 50 days for your skin to renew, and like, so that's the whole idea behind P50, and it works over time, right? So it's not like one sudden like peel that is making your skin dry and flaky. It works over time, and you can really see the difference with lotion P50, and it's still hands down one of my favorite products. So my goal was to create something on the lines of P50, but again with Indian ingredients and combining some of that French formulation expertise. So we've combined obviously fruit enzymes. There's AHA, there's lactic acid, there's glycolic, and there's salicylic, there's niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, as you said. So it's again a power packed formula, but in the right concentrations. And I think that's something the French do really well, is really finding a balance in formulation. And not really overdoing it. So we have people asking us, oh, okay, like what's the concentration of your AHA? So when I tell them, they're also surprised. They're like, how does it work at that much? But then when I make, again, help them understand that when it's a combination of ingredients, you really don't want to overdo it, right? Because then your skin is going to be peeling or stinging, and you don't necessarily want that. So so that's and I think we didn't really expect it to be like the hero product for us. It just happened naturally, and I think it was working well for people. And really, even this morning I saw a review on my way in, an email notification that I got saying like that it was like a life changer, right? And it was also like I think from the name, it was like a man who put the review. So it's great that it's also a product that works well for both men and women, and it's very easy to incorporate as well. Just put some on your palm, just like kind of press it on your skin, and you're done, right? So Yeah, it
Super
makes me really
easy.
happy that
Yeah, I love
yeah.
how skincare evolved, and how beautifully you've put it together. Because
Yeah.
you were just talking about exfoliants and how gentle it is and how effective at the same time it is.
Yeah.
And we grew up around the same time where, most popular exfoliator was St. Ives
Oh my
scrub, the
god.
apricot scrub. I
Yeah.
think we all
I think
have
everyone
used
had
that.
one in their
Everyone
showers,
had
right?
that in the
Yeah.
shower,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
how much we rubbed our
Yeah,
face
yeah,
with.
yeah.
I'm just glad I did it in my teens
Yeah.
and not now, because I was at this age then. It
Yeah.
would severely probably damage my
Sure.
skin.
Yeah, yeah.
So right now we are at the age where we should be taking better care of ourselves, of
Yeah,
course, and
yeah.
of our skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's beautiful how, skincare evolved, and God knows what's going to be the next
Sure.
10, 15 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what do you think is the future of skin
Hmm.
care? Where does it go?
I am definitely like you said before, I'm not one for like 100% natural.
Yeah.
I think a lot of natural ingredients can also be very sensitizing. And I mean, of course, some are great, but some can be very harsh on your skin. So I like the movement towards more like biotech, like cleaner formulations, where again, like the emphasis on is on the active, but it's in the right concentrations. It's extracted in the right way. It's targeting the right thing, right? So it's not like you're taking a turmeric extract and it's all of like the oils that you're putting on your face, because some of those things might actually be irritating your skin. So it's about, I think, using now very advanced technology that's there to isolate really what's needed for your skin. And I really think that's where it is. And I'm a strong believer, and I think this is also what the Japanese and the Koreans also do really well. Even the lotion P50, right? It's like fermentation, and I think fermentation is magic. I think so. All of these things, I hope and think will be the future of beauty, and I think we've thankfully moved away from the 15, 20 step skincare routine, which was really stripping our barriers.
Yes.
And I think, like you said, COVID was like a very reflective time, right, for all of us. And we compromised on all of our barriers, and now every product is barrier supporting.
Yeah.
So hopefully the more actives will also be more gentler and more targeted, rather than just drying and stripping.
No,
I guess.
I love this approach that you're also describing, that less is more.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have noticed that I think one of the most popular serums that we have in India is niacinamide 10%. So if anybody wants to like create their own, let's say, serum that has niacinamide.
Yeah.
And I think ideal ratio is not more than 5%. That's what I realized after talking to a lot of, dermatologists and skin experts. It shouldn't be more than 5%.
Yeah.
But then, for customers, it's like, if you have niacinamide 10%,
Yes,
niacinamide
yeah.
5%, they're around the same.
Sure.
You
just
price.
think the more the better.
You're like,
right?
yeah, you think the more the better.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
actually, it could be so much worse, because it would cause more pigmentation or more. Your skin would might react more. So people, I feel, should be more just conscious also. Which is happening in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I personally feel that I really like your vision of biotech skincare.
Yeah.
I think we are really moving also towards that.
Yeah.
Currently we are in the zone of holistic beauty. Like I said, we finally started, addressing it from within.
Yeah.
Biohacking is also on the rise.
Yes.
Right. So I think there are all these appliances that we buy, like I think soon everybody's going to have like an infrared panel in their house.
Sure,
also,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
To just help, with skin rejuvenation
Yeah,
and address pigmentation also in that way. And I love this movement, honestly, that we now look at beauty from within.
Yeah.
But you're definitely right. I think it's going to be more medicated soon.
Sure.
And there'll be definitely less is more. I don't see us applying, so many creams.
Sure. Exactly.
So people are looking, also for all-in-one solutions.
Yeah.
Like a cream that is also, packed with a serum, sort of, active ingredients, and at the same time it acts like a barrier, and also acts as your makeup primer, and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think the multi-purpose, we have less time, we want more effective products. Yes. But I think Gunam Beauty currently is really like sort of emerging all of that. because, okay, you have these beautiful wellness products, but at the same time, the skincare line is also so minimal and to the point, where it doesn't confuse me as a customer of what should I be putting on my face. And that is something that is also, I think, an issue right now, that we are also, there's so much information now
Yeah.
out there, so much
Yeah.
information, and you
Yeah.
think that you need all of that, and you get so confused. It gets very
Yes.
overwhelming,
No, no,
and you
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
want someone who will come and be like, it's okay,
Yeah.
you don't need all of that.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's where Gunam Beauty comes, I think, beautifully.
Thank you. You're
That.
too kind. But yeah, we're trying, and I think the goal for us next is to kind of help, more have more, maybe a bit more like tailored solutions, say for something like pigmentation, which is such a big concern in India, including for someone like myself, because I find that sometimes you need a little bit extra to solve certain things, right? So we're gonna try to, and then how do I give you something that might help you with pigmentation from the inside, right? So those are certain things that we're working on, and hopefully in the next few months you'll see them roll out as well.
Exciting.
Yes.
That's very
Yeah.
exciting.
Thanks.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, good. Always something new.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah. Yeah.
always
Yeah.
good.
But again, our goal is to not have like 100 products, but if I can have 10, 15, really high quality products, I think that's what I would do any day over having like a huge store full of products. I think that's also harder to do. I think it's easy, like you said, you can have single ingredient formulas, all of that, and have, like 100 SKUs. But I think to do fewer, and like you said, it's also confusing, right?
Yeah,
Like
it
we
is.
save, I think, every, like I was guilty of like saving every other like skincare, like supplement reel, but it's to how do we simplify it, make it easier for the customer, and at the end of the day, make it effective. So I think that's where we're headed.
Good. And what do you think customers, consumer beauty, wellness consumers, what is
Yeah.
this the one thing they probably don't exactly understand about ingredients, sourcing, and the quality? What are the differences? Because a lot of people would think, oh, this is cream with niacinamide,
Yeah.
this brand has it, this brand has it. What is the difference?
This is actually a really important point, and I think I heard even like Deepa Khosla from Indie Wild. I think Deepa addressed it recently on a podcast as well, about how with almost every ingredient there's different qualities, right? So even if you take a natural extract like a turmeric, so when we were doing the reformulation, and because we're now working with an Indian manufacturer, um, we supplied our own turmeric, and obviously the pigment was strong, and the smell was also strong. So they were like, oh, we already have a turmeric extract, so we'll make one with what we have. So we tried, and of course, like it was like it didn't hardly impacted the smell or the color or anything. So then we asked like what the extract was, and I sent it over to the lab in the factory, and they checked it out, and essentially I think there was less than 5% of the active ingredient, and the rest was just water essentially, right? And an ingredient like this is then used at like a point one, I mean, 0.5 or 1% in your entire formula. So yes, you can claim turmeric, but what are you really getting, right? You're paying. So I think it matters the quality of the extract, obviously, but for us, we like to take it a step more, well, backward, where my family's business, they've had these backward integration programs for really like the longest time, and it's they're looking at soil, the air quality, like the contamination. So basically, say something like turmeric, that's a root, it's absorbing everything, right, that's in the soil. So either at some point when you're doing the extraction, you got to take them out, or the best way is to ensure that it doesn't absorb them in the first place, right, or that the soil is clean, or so it's just a lot of these steps that are in the back. Again, I think I'm just really lucky to have access to that, to that infrastructure, or to those resources. that but I love it, like I geek out on things like that when I know.
see.
Yeah. Yeah. So even like farmer training programs, right? So how do we make sure that the farmer is educated in the best possible way to know that they shouldn't be using XYZ fertilizers or chemicals, when and how do we then also help them improve yield, track those things? So it's really a long drawn out process. Sometimes these things take many years to implement, and I've seen like my father, for example, like spend time like a lot of time at these farms, and there's huge the processes that are built, right, that we benefit from down the line. So even with these kind of extracts, I think it's really important not just where it comes from, but like how it's grown, how it was extracted, and how it's even stored, right? Simple things. So I think for the most part, we overlook a lot of these things, but with the certain ingredients that we source from my family's business, we're able to control those things. And I think that's really where what I think is really cool, or is something that's maybe unique to us. But my hope is to also be able to develop maybe more ingredients like this, and that maybe someday maybe be unique to us as well, or again, if it's good enough, like make them accessible for everyone, right? So again, using cool new technologies like synthetic, like biotechnology, fermentation, again, these are all, like, I think things with a lot of potential that I'm hoping to really like delve deeper into someday. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who'd even think,
Yeah.
when you're searching for products online, okay, you might scroll through things and see,
Sure.
okay,
Yeah.
what are their certifications,
Yes.
or whatever, but it's just
Yeah.
turmeric. I mean, that
Yeah.
factory also probably had some certifications for that turmeric that they
Correct.
were supplying to you,
Yes.
versus what you have brought to them.
Yes.
And at the same time, what is a huge difference?
Yes, yeah. And now they want what we've supplied. So they're like, the other thing is, practically water.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Wow. I think, of course, people should have more awareness, I think, about that.
Sure.
I even have this one example, since we're talking about turmeric. Somebody brought it to my attention. There's one very big Indian Ayurvedic supplement brand. It's like an OG supplement brand. It's huge. I won't even name them.
Yeah.
And
Please don't.
Yeah, I won't. So they sell their products also in US.
Okay.
So here it's available for very cheap, according to me. It's a very affordable supplement brand that is widely just available everywhere. So they are also available in US on Amazon if you look at that. But then that price is like so much higher. So there it's like for $30, I think,
Yeah.
for a bottle of maybe 60 or 120 capsules.
Okay.
Quite, but it matches with the other prices there, right? So I was like, are they selling the same product for a different price? But no, that's not the same product. Actually, because the product that they're selling here will never go through all the safety regulations there in US, especially in California. So they have to make a complete different product.
Yeah, sure.
So there'll be capsules that are actually free from all the fillers,
Yeah.
and all this. So the concentration, how you said the extract form will be different.
Yeah.
The difference of having it of 5% versus actually 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
Is
The
a big
active
difference.
content.
The active content,
Yeah.
exactly, is very different.
And it's tested for
And
every
it's
single
tested.
batch.
It's tested for everything then,
Yeah.
So it's a big difference, right? And yet, the awareness that we have is that, like, I know a lot of people from abroad come to India buying, just suitcases of these supplements. Ayurveda is really big right now in the West.
Yeah,
So they would come here to buy this thinking that they'll get a better quality at a much lesser price.
Yeah.
But that's not true. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
And that is, I think, something that I hope, see, with founders like yourself, and how your family is involved. Okay, it shows that, okay, we also have so much potential, but it only relies on your sincerity.
Yeah.
Like how sincere you are as a founder, and what kind of quality you want to put in your product.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I just hope that soon we'll also have regulations,
Yeah, sure.
in place. That there are regulations there, but I think we, especially in the segment of health and wellness, I personally feel maybe it should be more strict.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the regulation is very needed, but I like that you said sincerity, and I think that's something. So I hate it when people say, in India you can't make good products, and
Of
that's
course you can.
absolutely
There's so
not
many great
right.
brands, so many
Yeah.
really good
Yeah, exactly.
brands.
So I
Yeah.
think as long as your intentions are right and you're not compromising, right? And I think we're so used to like a jugaad mentality of just get, and also just getting away with things, that people make compromises on these things, and you really don't want to compromise on something that you're putting on your skin, let alone inside your body, right? So that you're consuming every day. So I just I think sincerity is very much needed
Sincerity,
in.
yes.
So forget who's regulating you. I think if people paid more attention to kind of just wanting to put the best out there, I think overall what we have would be a lot better, and people be cutting less corners, and
Sure. And
yeah,
there's
no,
also a thing
absolutely.
called a placebo effect.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is why I think people should be really
Very
careful
real.
what they claim and
Yeah,
how they
sure.
market it.
Yeah.
So placebo effect, you know how it works, right? So let's say if you know that lavender oil is going to make you fall asleep, and you sincerely believe in that,
Yeah.
maybe you will find it very calming and really
Yes, yeah,
nice.
true,
You
yeah.
know? So actually, same thing I feel about collagen.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of good collagen products, and then there are a lot of not so effective collagen products, but all of them claim big things.
Sure, yeah.
Especially here in India, because you can claim anything, of course.
Yeah.
And, it really helps with your skin, and
Yeah.
that it can replace your skincare. It's honestly one of the most annoying ads I've been seeing is that every brand is saying that
Yeah.
throw away all your
Yeah,
skincare.
yeah.
Here's
If only,
our
right?
collagen, and then it can help you, with
Yeah.
everything, your
Sure.
pigmentation, your skin tone. It can help you, boost collagen.
Sure,
How can collagen help boost collagen?
Sure.
I'm yet to understand, honestly.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think collagen, if it's a good quality marine collagen, or if it's, I think there's also collagen that is derived from buffalo.
Yeah, bovine sources as
Bovine
well.
sources
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
It's a good quality collagen that is actually paired with some procedures that you do, like maybe microneedling,
Yeah.
or something that stimulates collagen production.
Sure.
And then you combine it with supplements.
Yeah.
It will probably work like magic.
Yeah.
And also, like, let's say if you're not consuming enough protein, okay, then maybe adding some collagen will help.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. And the goal is for it to like improve hydration, elastin. So it's not really, the collagen isn't building collagen in the body, right? That's not how it works.
Okay.
So in fact, like we've been working on one, and we're using what's called a collagen dipeptide. So again, it's even smaller in size. So it's between like 100 and 300 in Dalton sizes, like for the most part, the concentration. So again, it works deeper. So again, you consume less, but it's also, like you said, about combining with other things, right? That kind of help also boost then collagen. And I think that's where like the magic is.
Even
as
if
well,
you're using like a nice daily exfoliant, like Gunam Beauty, so that sort of, it creates this what you say, it helps to exfoliate your skin.
Yeah.
And it may also help then for your body to send collagen there.
Sure.
That's what I've heard, is that, like how the body works. Let's say you're consuming collagen, it's not going to go straight to your skin. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
It probably goes first to your, joints.
Yeah.
And bones, or wherever it's most needed.
Sure.
It doesn't necessarily go into your skin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if you are doing some certain procedures, that's at least what a doctor explained to me, that if you're doing certain procedures that stimulate collagen production, and at the same time then you're having collagen, then it's actually very effective.
Sure.
Or let's say you're at that time when you're losing, like I think after the age of 30, is it?
Yeah.
That there's less collagen production.
Correct, yeah.
Then it's a nice thing to supplement, of course.
Yeah.
Then it could be very effective. And at the same time, you combine it with good skincare, with active ingredients. If you're using active ingredients, like at least she explained, then it's also really adding up, so then it may work also on your skin. Right. But that notion that I see a lot of, 20-something-year-olds thinking, I don't need skincare anymore. I can just drink collagen and my skin is going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit unrealistic, I think. And it's something like
a bit,
brands should be more, aware of that. Okay, there should be a holistic approach to it, probably, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think, like, again, easier said than done. I think we just have to be more intentional about how we say these things, right? And I think especially when you're at a more impressionable age, right? You're thinking, in fact, somebody was saying like how they're like teen or like daughter like is like wants to take collagen, so she's like, what's a good brand? So I was just like, what? I
You
don't think
have
I
so
even
much
knew.
collagen in you.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think I even knew what collagen
Mm,
was until, maybe 10 years ago, right? So it's quite
yeah.
interesting, fascinating how the whole landscape has
Mhm.
shifted, and like just younger people are doing more. And I have even like parents asking me like, what can their kids use? And I'm just like, maybe unless again there's an actual medical concern or whatever, then you go for a targeted approach. But like an average teenager doesn't today need a multi-step routine or whatever, right? So, and I'm like, sometimes they have like flawless skin. I'm like, you don't need anything. Whatever you're doing, water the basics, just keep at it. And honestly, if for me, I'm like, the fewer things I have to use, I'm happy. I love testing new products out, but I know it isn't for me. I know I can quickly overwhelm my skin as well. So for the most part, my routine is never more than 3 to 4 steps, at a time. So yeah, if you don't need it, like
You don't
don't
need
use it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, because like we spoke, about how important it is what you say as a brand, your
Yeah.
product
Hmm.
helps with.
Yeah.
Because see, we all have different budgets,
Yeah,
I
sure. Yeah.
feel, right? So for an average woman who, let's say, maybe she makes 50,000 a month
Hmm.
and maybe she can spend 5,000 a month on herself.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe she wants to buy some, skincare or, maybe go for a facial.
Yeah.
Or maybe she, like within that budget, she
Sure.
wants to treat herself in a way that addresses her needs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we all get easily influenced. So imagine you open your phone, the
Mm.
first thing somebody tells you is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you don't need your skincare. You need
Yeah.
a collagen supplement, and that
Yeah.
supplement costs maybe 4K. Let's say
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
supplement will
Sure.
cost around 4,000, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm.
And for her, that's a big buy.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, but she believes in that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, okay, this month I'm not gonna maybe go for a facial, or I'm not going to buy that skincare. I'm not going to buy that serum. Instead, I'm
Yeah.
going to buy collagen because it promises so much, and
Yeah.
I'm going to address it from within. It's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I think we should be just a little bit more sincere,
Yeah. Sure.
because that woman, sort of sacrificed maybe her monthly facial, or maybe
Sure.
she didn't buy the skincare that she actually needed.
Sure.
And instead, she went and she bought that supplement thinking that it's going to help her. But at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
end, it just probably broke down into amino acids in her system.
Yeah.
And maybe in her particular case, it may not even help,
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's where brands should be just more
Yeah.
aware, and how we market products,
Sure.
what
Sure.
we promise to people,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what, even fundamentally, even with something like a blue spirulina, I'm like, if your diet is fundamentally bad, right, and if you're adding a blue spirulina, it's not going to do anything for you. So I mean, like, I feel the difference too. Like, even say when I'm traveling, I don't know, like Japan's one of my favorite places on the planet. Like, I know when I go, when I'm traveling, then I'm eating again a lot of sushi, sashimi, just eating cleaner, I guess also cleaner air, water,
Clean
maybe
air,
all of those
yes.
things. Like I can feel it instantly,
Feel
right? And
instant,
even
yeah.
when I'm home and I'm eating, like getting my flax seeds, like eating good like fats from coconut and ghee, and like just eating more whole foods, like you can
Yes.
tell the difference, right, fairly instantly. And whereas if I eat, like, I don't know, Indian Chinese food, or like you said, a lot of spicy oily food, it shows up again, right? So I think your body is always telling you, and if you don't have the fundamentals right, and I think I'm always envious of people who can eat anything and still have incredible skin. But I don't know, for a lot of people, I've noticed also, as they age, then it manifests in other ways, right? So I think at the end of the day, it'll show up in one way or
Yeah,
another, right?
definitely.
And so yeah, I think the goal is to get the basics right, and then all of these things are to add to your routine or to supplement it, not replace. So yeah, as I say.
And it's crazy how we think that whole foods and just eating healthy
Yeah.
is considered a diet.
Yeah, no.
How
Yeah,
crazy is
yeah.
that?
I mean, I
Like,
did too for the longest time, honestly. And I think a lot of people, such as myself, have now it's just the way I eat. So I've even people, like I said, building this business, whatever, I got lost, right? So I gained a lot of weight, like my skin was bad, my hair was bad, all of it. And I think I've just been in the process of getting, I don't want to say back on track, but, doing things right, or like being happy. And I'm much more happier, like mentally, physically, all of it. So, and I have people ask me like, oh, like what diet are you on? So I'm just like, no, it's
I eat
just
healthy.
food now. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just how I eat now, and I think that for me was like my goal. And I think there's a lot of people, including yourself, that have really inspired me to kind of make it a way of living, as opposed to like something you do expecting an outcome, right? And I think then is when you see the real like magic, I guess. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. What is your diet like right now? I'm just very
Now?
curious. What do you
Okay.
have for breakfast, lunch, dinner? Just like as a little example.
Sure. So I actually start my day really early. 5:30 is when I'm usually up. So I usually start with some warm water and the Golden Glow blend. There's days when I don't have it either, where I have it at night. I just do water first, and then I have matcha, because I go to the gym as well in the morning. So I need some caffeine. So if I'm doing matcha, I'll do like a scoop of 2 scoops of a creamer. So it's got like good fats, it's got MCTs, and I feel like it really kind of fuels my workout as well. So it keeps me like satiated as well. So for my workouts, usually like 40 minutes of like weight training, all of that, and I do some cardio if I don't have tennis, so that's how it is. So, and then post that, it's usually like sweet breakfast. I love sweet breakfast, but it's just not for me. Like it shows up. I've realized over time that if I stop eating a sweet breakfast, and whether it's like a smoothie, like a sugary, well, even if it's just fruit, right, it's still sweet. And I think it just doesn't work for me. So I do savory. So I do like eggs usually. It's fairly simple, and then I do like a simple protein shake. That's what I do. If I do like a sesame bread or like avocado, something like, again, more healthy fats, just to kind of keep me fuller. And then lunch is also fairly simple. Sometimes I do like paneer, rice, and I do veggies. So my friend again, who's again inspired me a lot, she's like a nutritionist as well, and just about getting your ratios right. So whatever it is, I just do like make sure half my plate is like vegetables and just
Fiber,
fiber,
basically.
exactly. Yeah. And then obviously your protein, get your good 100 200 grams of whatever it is, so that you're getting sufficient protein. And then carbs, right? And I think carbs are always the enemy, and I think as long as it's a good source of carb, I think it's great, right? So, and I think
complex carbs in the
exactly.
first half of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. And as
Very
people who are like we're working, we're using our brains, and I think we need the
carbs,
energy.
yes.
So though we're sitting for the most part, I think that's when it does more bad than good. So yeah, that's how it is. I don't do like snacks. I do a matcha right after lunch, and it keeps me wired to like 5-6 p.m. So I don't get that post lunch fatigue or whatever. And then dinner is also like, I started doing like soups recently with like sometimes I do like grilled, again, veggies, salad, chicken, fish. Definitely try to eat more fish now. I live in Cochin. We get a lot of fish, and I think at some point we're like, oh, like you think more complex, hard to find things are better for you, but then just eating more local, seasonal is, I think,
it's fresh.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and just also cooking more like every day. Now I have someone to like help me, which is life changing. But for the longest time, up until last year, actually, because I also lived abroad, I just would cook my own meals. And when you get busy, you don't cook as much, you eat out, and I think it's a vicious cycle, right? So I think just prioritizing your like every day is just makes such a difference. And I'm grateful that I think we have all of and I think we spoke about this, and your mom, right? And how you said like she works a full-time job, and then she still finds time to go to the gym.
My mom is a true inspiration.
No, I love that.
She puts so many women that I know to shame.
No, sounds like it.
Like, first of all, I love your diet. This is like the perfect. I think if anybody wants to really start taking care of themselves, this is how they should approach it. No sweet breakfast. Even if it's a smoothie, I don't see it as a healthy thing to have a first thing in the morning, honestly, because you want to maintain good sugar levels. You don't want the spikes. These spikes are going to make you hungry. You're going to, after like 1.5 hours, you're going to feel hungry. You want to snack on something. Instead, have something savory. I think that's really important, you know, and have the things that also are grown local, and it's something that you have been accustomed to. I feel that's also very important, where you grow up and what you've been eating, what you genetically prone to like what suits you more.
Sure.
Epigenetics, I think, is also there playing a big role, right?
Huge role.
Huge
Yeah,
role,
yeah.
right? So for me, like I'm from Russia, and even though I've been living in India for like 10 years already, I still need to, and I grew up in a very cold climate, let's say, right? So I don't do sweets.
Okay.
And I cannot have anything that is deep fried. And I love spicy food. As much as I love it, I know it doesn't suit me. I know it's going to show on my skin eventually, right? So I also have to try and prioritize fermented foods. We love fermented foods in Russia.
Of
It's
course.
also, so probiotics are really good.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
have something that is called, it's something like a kombucha or kvass.
Yeah.
So we really like that, or fermented cabbage, fermented. So we also have these cucumbers, like you call them gherkins here.
Yeah.
So just include some of this, and of course kefir. Kefir is a huge part of like diet in Russia.
Yeah.
It's a really good superpower, superfood drink, whatever you
Yes,
call
yes,
that,
yeah,
because it's really good
I love
for your
it
gut.
too. Yeah.
So for a lot of people here in India, especially I think in South India, you don't take dairy very well. So opposite in Russia, I mean, I can take dairy pretty well. I don't have like, any reaction to that.
Yeah.
So I really like to include some yogurt or some kind of, or that kefir in my diet. It really helps. And also about protein source.
Yeah.
For me, fish and lamb and chicken and even like red meat, basically, it really works well for me. Like I know that if I don't have it for some time, it not just shows my skin, but I also feel weaker in a way, and I just don't feel like myself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just, your psychological whatever that you think. It's something that you're used to eating also. You have to address that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So diet definitely plays a very, very important role. I can't stress it enough.
Yeah,
And speaking of my mom, because we just spoke about, how taking care of yourself can vary depending on the place you're born and depending about your lifestyle.
Sure. And the privileges you have,
Yeah,
right?
the privileges you have.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, I meet a lot of moms here because I'm a mom myself. I have 2 kids.
Yes.
So I meet a lot of moms and they'll be asking me, where can I find the motivation to go to the gym or take care of myself? Most of them have gym memberships at like some very fancy places, and I understand them totally, in the sense that I also find it hard sometimes to just go and get my nails done, or I find it hard to go to the gym or go to Pilates, even though I have access to these things.
Yeah.
So I understand them.
Yeah.
But then I remember my mom who works at a factory. She's 50 years old now. She works at a factory. And her whole life, besides taking care of the kids and everything, and she was working night shifts as well. Yeah. So imagine you work a night shift, you're really, really tired. You want to catch on your sleep. You come back home.
Yeah.
You have to prep, breakfast for your kids and maybe catch on your sleep also. And after that, you still find the strength and the willpower to go to the gym every single day. She would go to the gym. Maybe she would also go for a swim sometimes, and she'll make sure to get her nails done every 2 weeks. There, of course, she's Russian. Like they do that. Like it's very important to us.
For my mom too.
My nails are like very bare and whatever, but her nails are always done. She would never use that as an excuse, And she lives in a small town, relatively. So there is not like, it's not like her work is to be in front of the camera or to network with people, She lives a very simple life, but it's very important for her. And she's not like some exception. There are a lot of women like that. Like it's normal for women in Russia to really, really take care of themselves. Whenever she comes here to visit me, she puts me to shame. She's like, how come you don't have your nails done? And look at yourself. When was the last time you went to the gym? Like this is a typical Russian, mother. So I love telling this story to my friends that guys, my mom is like, she comes from a very simple, background. She works at a factory, and yet for her to go to the gym is a privilege. That's why she goes there. That's her me time,
For sure.
For her to get her nails done or even get some injectables in her face. That's like, I deserve it. I do this because I love myself, and I'm so happy that I get to do that.
Sure.
And sometimes, and if you grew up like in a more privileged lifestyle, when you have all these things to your, at your disposal, you have the best of the like, you have the best kind of equipment, you can go to the best kind of the gym, you can eat the best kind of food, but you still opt to eat junk, all of these things. It really makes you reevaluate yourself.
Sure,
What
it
are my
does.
priorities, and do I
yeah.
really see what I have?
Yeah.
I think same thing even with drinking water. Like, a lot of people I know have these apps on the phone that reminds you to drink water, drink water.
Sure.
Or we carry these big Stanley cups, sort of to make it more, glamorous and fun to drink water.
Sure.
But actually, is a huge percentage of people on this planet don't even have access to drinking water.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so sad, and I think we should just all remember that, how privileged we are.
No, I think perspective, and I think that once you, that shift from all of these things that we do for ourselves, once you shift, I think your mindset from it being like punishment to, I think, something that serves you, I think that's where I think the magic happens, right? Because even just working out, like you said, it's a privilege, I think, that we have to be able to find time and to do it for us. And for me now, working out was always like, I don't want to go, but now for me it's meditative. Like, I wake up in the morning and I look forward to going to the gym. Even on my days off, like, I want to get in some movement, right? Because I realize the impact that it has on me for the entire day. And I think once you're able to understand that,
tune into that feeling,
exactly.
also,
And for me, I'm ashamed, not ashamed, like, it hurts to say this, but it took me like almost 30 years to understand these things, right? Or whatever, 29 years to really start. And again, I'm in this space where I'm constantly listening to this kind of information, and I felt almost, I don't want to say guilty, but I felt like I was maybe not doing right by myself and right by my brand, where I was like, I can't be saying all of these things. And yes, I was practicing a lot of it, but it wasn't really reflecting, because I was maybe stressed and, not really, all my ducks weren't in a row. So I think, again, it's not perfect. And I also accepting that, right? That things will never be perfect, but what can you do with what you've been given, right? And I think self-care and self-love is, we talk about it a lot, but I think we don't practice it as much, right? Yeah. So I think for me, this whole year has been a real revelation from that standpoint. So I'm hoping that, again, though in my 30s now, technically, I hope, again, it's gets better with time. And I think,
That's very inspiring. It's very inspiring for sure. I mean, I because we share the same birthday. We both were born actually on 25th October of the same year.
24th for me, right?
24th,
24th,
25th, yes.
More or less the same.
More or less the same, yes, in different countries.
Yeah.
And everything. And since I've entered my 30s, it's a beautiful shift that happens, in mindset, from thinking about what will people think and what is their perception of me. And how do I I think in your 20s you work a lot on fixing yourself in certain ways, and in your 30s you're more you own yourself, you own your truth, and you do it out of a place of love. I deserve this. I deserve to take care of myself, and you address your beauty and your wellness from a different angle, which I think is a beautiful thing, and that it's a beautiful shift, I think, that's happening right now for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think just the fear of, and especially I think for women, right, with obviously reproductive health and all of these things, there's so many taboos, things we don't talk about. And I think there's a lot of also other companies and just people who are educating people in the right way, and just about taking control of your life, as a result. So even just things like freezing your eggs, for example, right? It's nobody spoke about these things, but now you have, I don't know, this company called Arva that I really like. They do a lot of education around these type of topics, right? And so I think hopefully, I think just more open communication and just knowledge, right? And education, I think, is hopefully gonna just drive people to make better choices. And give more control back, I think.
Okay, and now just a quick rapid fire round. Quick questions.
Sure.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right. Let's go.
Sure.
Okay. If you have to invest in one, skincare or beauty supplements?
I have to say both. Yeah. Today I have to say both.
But what do you prioritize for yourself? What are you more crazy about right now?
I think just what I put in my body. So
you put in your body.
Food,
So food. Okay, great. One ingredient you'd never remove from your routine, skincare routine.
That's a really tough one. Because I don't use a lot of like single ingredients, but I think something that today we have in our skincare and supplements is like turmeric, and I think it's a really powerful ingredient when used the right way. So I would just say that.
Amazing. It's really good for inflammation, I
Correct.
guess.
That's right. Yes.
Biggest skincare myth you want to go on forever?
That more is more. Less
Yeah.
is definitely
Less
more.
is definitely
yes,
more.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. The wellness habit that changed your skin.
I think just regulating my nervous system or just getting shit under control. Sorry. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. You can do everything,
Yes.
but if that's not right, then yeah.
One beauty trend that secretly stresses your skin.
Might again maybe exfoliation. You can overdo
Over-exfoliation,
it,
yeah, you can
and
overdo it.
and it takes a
Yes.
long time to recover. So
One beauty truth you wish you could tell your younger self.
beauty truth. I think just like be kinder to yourself. Maybe like not everything is an overnight fix or solution.
yes.
So just be patient, I guess. Yeah.
Overrated. Exfoliation or sheet masks?
I would say sheet mask maybe. I just
never
think
good at them.
whilst they're fun to use and I think it's good once in a way, I think it's very wasteful. So from a sustainability standpoint, I would just say like it's just a lot of waste, like plastics and sheets and things like that. But yeah, it's fun to use once in a while, especially I think when you're traveling or on the go. But yeah, I think it's maybe you can just use a good old mask and it will do the same thing, or just serums, hydration. You don't necessarily need the extra layers of plastic. Yeah.
Yes. Morning person or night owl? And does it show on your skin?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think when sleep's gone, I'm definitely
You're
a morning person now. I think I've grown to become a morning person. But yeah, I think less sleep, I think, shows up way too quickly on your skin. So yeah, and it's not just the lack of sleep, right? It's the what else it does to your body that shows up then on your skin. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Your favorite grounding ritual in 30 seconds. Maybe you're overwhelmed. What will you do to sort of ground your energy?
Sure. I think box breathing definitely helps, I think, because it just really forces you to like pause, right?
Yes.
And I think that's something I do even like if I'm in bed and I'm restless and I can't sleep. I think it's just, you know,
I like
gets your
doing
focus back.
Bastrika or Kapalbhati.
Ah, okay,
Really
yeah.
helps,
Ah, okay,
that kind
yeah.
of
I wanna
vigorous
get-
kind of breathing,
okay. Oh, really?
It sort
It
of-
helps.
You get that energy out.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And
I
it
should
depends
try.
on, some people like equal breathing because it sort of calms your nervous system.
Sure.
I need to get stuff out, like if I do Bastrika or Kapalbhati,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like a really nice
nice,
shift
okay.
in
Okay.
energy. You
Okay.
should try it.
Nice. Okay. Maybe because you're naturally a calm person. Maybe you
I just need to get it out.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. One wellness rule you break all the time.
Oh no. So you know how like I guess alcohol maybe is just universally we all know it's bad. There's no amount of it that's good for you. But I do love my occasional. I'm definitely drinking less now. Maybe like from once a week, it's more like once or twice a month. But like I just enjoy like maybe it's also the ritual and like going out and just having a good time that I enjoy. But yeah, I think alcohol
socializing and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But it's all about
But
balance.
I enjoy it. Yeah, exactly.
It's all about
yeah.
balance.
Exactly.
I think
So
we can
definitely. But again, I think people try to justify alcohol being good in many ways, and of course, there's many I think places in the world where alcohol is in a big part of the diets.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot of other things that also add to the longevity aspect, right? It's not that drinking wine makes you live longer, it's everything else. So, but yeah, I still like my drink or two.
Same.
Or three.
Next time we're catching over a drink, not matches.
Or both.
Both.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Elizabeth, to summarize this beautiful podcast, this beautiful conversation that we had, I think in today's world, holistic beauty is definitely taking over. And I think we should address our beauty from different aspects, right? So how you rightfully mentioned that no amount of supplements can fix the root cause, right? So you got to address your mental health. Are you stressing out? Is there anxiety? You know, so inflammation, gut skin axis, you know, working closely with the doctors. But at the same time, you should be, you know, just asking yourself, how does it work for me? You know, listening to yourself is very important, listening to your body, right? So what we put inside matters as much or even more than what we put on our skin, right? And of course, transparency when it comes to choosing the right skincare product, right? It was like, I think it's a need of an hour, honestly. And I'm so happy that there are brands like Gunam Beauty that are really honest and transparent and bring simple, effective skincare to people. Right.
Thank you. I think you summarized that so beautifully. And I think I mentioned this to you earlier as well. For me, it was very easy to talk to you because I think there's a certain calmness and in the way you speak, and it was just very easy for me to
Felt
share
like a
everything
therapy
that
session for me also. It was nice to just like a very girly talk, like a very, you know,
this can keep
insider.
going.
Yeah, this can keep going.
Yes, we keep going on. But yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for giving me like a platform. And I love what you're doing as well with Tatva and Beauty Story. And again, more power to you. And I think I love that one of your biggest drivers is wanting to create transparency. And just honest communication as well. So, and at the end of the day, putting out good product and with good intention, right? So I think,
and of course, bringing great brands like yours also, you know, giving them also a spotlight. And I love talking to founders and actual people who are behind, you know, the creative process of not just branding but also product formulation. I think it's very rare, honestly. Like I've met a lot of founders, but it's very rare to meet someone who's as knowledgeable as you, who's so, like, you are so deep into the process of even making each product. So it was a true pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you so much for watching. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe, like, share, and let me know which brand would you like to talk about next time. Or maybe if you're a founder yourself, please reach out and maybe you will be our next guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nelia.
Thank you.
Bye.